So let's talk about another dynamic and events. That's what we're focused on. We're focused on cars and sports events, things and events. Consumerism is about getting more things. Goals, events, having things happen. That when we get to this one thing, of that 20 years, that love will be slightly different in some way. It will have a different quality. It will be in a different context. It will always be changing. But we, over here in the West, we nominalize everything. We freeze it. We turn it into events. We turn it into a relationship that was a complex relationship in the past, and we'll freeze it into one image. And that's the way that it always is, and that's the way it always will be. This leads to logic like, well, I was pissed at you then for good reason, and so I'm still pissed at you now. And we've frozen that thing, and now anytime we think of that person or that event, the pissed comes back up, and we're like, yeah, I still am pissed. We don't allow it to process. We don't allow it to change. And then ultimately what we do is we take these frozen things that we've created. There's as much space between the physical pieces as there is relatively in the solar system, between the sun and the planets. So when you say there is a thing here, we only mean that all the cells change over time. Right? A few years go by, almost all of the cells in your body have replaced themselves. Even the ones in your brain. What's going on? How is that possible? And even the cells have intelligence. Radical honesty. And you may have heard me talk about this maybe in my advanced series. The truth changes over time. And if I think, well, the truth was this way, and so it always is going to be, I'm stuck. My brain is stuck. Really interesting guy. Another person that Werner Erhard, who created the EST program, spent a lot of time studying his stuff. In his book, The Way of Zen, he says, what we're doing here a lot of times in the West is trying to put more stuff in yours. The next level is when you really feel understood. Because when you really feel understood, a space is created because you don't need to communicate your thing anymore. You don't need to fight for your idea. You don't need to justify anymore. And then things into static events, and maybe trying to even get a static event thinking that that's what's going to make you happy forever. Are you attached to static events that happened in the past that are no longer happening? Quick exercise. Blank piece of paper. Now, where have you frozen the truth? Where have you taken something that you experienced and you froze it and you said, that is true. That is the way it is. Whether it be that someone's a bad person, whether it be that some dynamic happens between a man and a woman, and this is the way it always works out. Whether or not something's right or wrong, where have you frozen something and made it true, and you've just generalized it to be that way? And our stereotypes and our prejudices. And we've gotten so into them that we think we're right about them. And you can hear it in the tone of voice. In this conversation that took place just a little while ago between Chris and Greg, you could hear certain part about.
Yes, I am.
Well, then why do you want to do some work on it?
Because I want to take it further. I want to get a deeper distinction with it. I want to get
to the
into
next
the
level.
experience. Yeah.
I need you to hold that thing right up to your mouth
Right up
the
to
whole
here.
time, right there.
Okay.
Thank you. What do you know about it? What's your experience with it so far, so to speak?
When I'm in touch with my feelings and emotions in the moment, and I'm interacting, I've done a lot of in-depth emotional work with people and between people. And when, like that discussion that happened earlier,
Yep.
and when it gets to, and also I do consultations with people, and when I'm right there with people, it's...
Yeah, founder of Real Social Dynamics back in the corner over there, so go talk to him if you get a chance.
Okay.
Those guys do some awesome work.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I experience what it is for me to be free and just going with it. And when I'm on my own, the pattern I have of just, because I have a very brilliant...
Huh. This is just getting more and more fun every moment. Okay.
Okay.
It was hard. keep going. Let's try to locate it.
I felt aroused by her.
She must have been very attractive.
She was beautiful.
Good for you. Just close your eyes for a moment. Now focus on those sensations. Really focus right where they're at specifically and notice them. And notice that they're a process. It's not a thing that's happening. It's a process. It's something that is flowing through you, that is affecting you in many ways and on many levels. See, one of the things that we do when the process comes up is we, as he said, we generalize it, and then we freeze it and we go, oh, I'm feeling tension, or I'm feeling fear, and then it stops it, and we can't let it process through our body. We can't ride that wave.
Warmth and sensation coming back. It's running through
Good.
the legs here.
It's flowing.
It's going green, red.
Good.
It's very bright colours. It's not sort
Stay
of grey
with it.
colours at all.
Now where is it?
It's down here, just below the navel and above the pubis, or above the genitals.
What color?
It's more dark now. It's more like rolling black, like a cloud. And it's very intense black.
And where is it now?
It's descending. It's from here, this hip here, down through into here, and right across through, right through this section here, and now it's just concentrating.
Who else? Who's ready? You want to come up here? What's your name?
Chance from Atlanta.
Some part of you feels you should be getting married at some point, and if you don't, society's going to look down upon you, and you will feel guilt and what was the other thing?
Just fear and guilt of my perception of others, how
Okay.
they look at me.
Any idea where that originated?
No idea.
It's maybe hundreds of millions of slaves right now on this planet. Didn't just happen 150 years ago. Can you think back, maybe just kind of go with your intuition. Was there an event, so to speak, that maybe somehow put this idea in your mind first, where that thing?
I would say specifically when I hear anyone talk about marriage and how it's gone wrong, it triggers that in me.
Okay, so anytime someone talks about marriage and how one has gone
It gives
wrong.
me a feeling in my stomach like, ugh, no good.
Okay, good. So, can you...
Unstable shakiness that if it were emotion, it would be shakiness.
Okay, good. Follow it. Stay with it.
And it makes my body feel unstable. So instead of my energy being in a straight, confident line, it makes me feel...
Forget unstable and energy and confident. Okay? Stay out of those judgments of uncomfortable and stay with the experience. Just the experience. Just the physical experience. Just stay with it.
Okay, the muscles in my body...
And tell me how it's changing and evolving.
As I sit here and I acknowledge it, I can feel, and I feel the awareness, I can feel the red and the expansion of the nervousness in my body.
Keep reporting your experience.
And as I focus on the awareness, I can feel more of an acceptance, which is a blue color.
Forget the acceptance.
And
report your experience.
the feeling has become a blue color, and I can feel it all through my body, through my legs, and it's almost like a network of blue that extends through my body, and it's more of a being in the now feeling.
Good. What I'd like you to do is keep your eyes closed, put the mic down at your side for a second, sit comfortably, really comfortably, put the mic down. Like actually drop it out of your hands. There you go. Sit in a comfortable position. Everything's okay. In fact, everyone in the room, let's close our eyes for a moment. Okay? So we've all got our eyes closed. And I want you to just breathe, focus on your breath, the feeling of your breath, and follow the experience. You know what to do now. Just follow it. Okay? Pick the mic back up. Maybe open your eyes. Now, there is experience happening in the bodies of these individuals. There is experience happening. And it can be noticed and related to and stayed with. But if you're not conditioned to do this, if you haven't practiced this, it's not what comes up naturally. And if you don't do this, if instead you go into your normal thing and then you go up in your head and you do all your judgment stuff and you know, which you still were doing there, even all the way to the end, right? Because that's just what we do. That's where you're at, and that's fine. But if you do that, you'll miss what's happening and you'll block it and you won't let it process. Follow your body. Follow the experience through your body. Follow the movement. Let it transform. It has a message for you. It may come now. It may come tonight in your dreams. It may come later. There's profound wisdom in this experience you are having right now. Follow it. Follow it. Keep noticing the color. Notice as it evolves.
So my insight was I really have to focus in on my body even more than I thought I was doing before. And so that was just a huge insight for me. So
good. Thank you. Good one.
I'm Scott from Los Angeles.
Emergent property called the life of the colony. It's like a body, and they can do amazing things. What he just said was, it was so big, I hope you got it. When you follow your experience and you make the space.
You were saying before. So kind of freeing myself from that was the only way that I could really come in tune with actually like experience anything at all.
Good for you. Thank you. That's it. That's it. Last one. Thank you, guys. So that may have been, she wants to not block it and stop it so that it'll come up and bite her in the ass later. Do you think that this process could help you relate better to women, especially a really evolved woman that gets this intuitively? A little chin scratching going on there. Chris and Greg, right? Do you guys think you get what we were trying to do up here? We may have been talking about sex in some way. Let me repeat the exercise quickly. The idea is to state your perspective, remembering that it is just a perspective and it's partial. And now we've added a couple. So where do you think we left off?
I think it was kind of back and forth with the same thing.
Summarize where you think it left off. What do you think his perspective was?
Coming from. And therefore, again, misconduct, it has a charge to it, and that misconduct is linked with immoral behavior.
That's a little. For me, it was more of, and I guess you're kind of on this.
It's a shocker, isn't it? The key is to figure out where.
Well, I would definitely say we agree that it is. The subject has charge, and it's not something to be taken lightly. It's not something to be. It is clearly the fact that you would ask that question: who has thought this through? Not just who has this opinion on it, but who's really thought this through. The fact that it takes that much thinking through means that it's an important thing. And I would say at that base level, we
inner struggles and the same difficulties, likely.
Okay. Can I ask one question? real quick?
Go.
So earlier we were doing these exercises that involve feeling the emotions in your body, and it's to not make judgments and really focus on that. And I feel like we're kind of back to concept.
Struggling with the whole divorce, and at that point, I kind of entered into the same struggle that they had and tried to help them and tried to grow through it. And I was looking around at other relationships and looking and trying to, I think maybe part of this was I'd seen, but I was going through and processing all this pain and heartache and trying to find some place to turn where I could find truth and comfort and solace. And I found it in the Christian God. And
Kind of messes with my head a little bit. It kind of makes me want to. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
I get it. Yeah.
Whenever
so, anyway.
Whenever I think of maybe limiting beliefs or things that I had a few years ago, and then maybe I meet somewhere, I'm in a situation where they have those, I almost want to get away from it because it messes with my head a little bit, like it's kind of sucking me back in or something. It's kind of hard to unpack that, but.
Good. What comes up for me here as I hear this is I can, and again, I don't want to get too much, I want to let you guys kind of continue on this one, but I can.
And that whole relativistic view of things that definitely, I imagine that's I think back, it's definitely not comfortable. It's threatening in a weird way.
Can you, because I know that there's some part of what you're going through that, I shouldn't say I know. It sounds to me that there's something about what you're going through where he's at, there's a little part that's a little weird to you, but in a way you can relate and you're curious about it and you want to know more?
well, definitely I can relate with everything is not black and white for sure. And sometimes seeing that truth is just shifting all the time, it seems to kind of ring true with somehow how reality is sometimes. Sometimes you just enter into these situations and you're really wondering what is true here, and it's...
Stop for a second, reflect on what I just said.
Yeah.
And ask it in your own way, relating to your experience, to your reality. Learn something. See where you have that experience. And ask, grab somebody for lunch and say, let's find something where we have different opinions quick. Let's go through abortion or politics or let's get into something. And let's do this. Let's practice. Let's see how we can do. And notice, revered, and maybe when you're revering it, you can have the realization or the awareness that your mind and the games that it's playing are not everything. And that old idea of who you thought you were is not everything. And that by opening and understanding, being with your process, helping the other person be with their process. What I really like and respect about these guys, they've been friends for a lot of years now, is that they really do live in their own realities. So you'll hear me talk a lot about the idea that when you're dealing with women and interacting with them, it's like you go into a reality distortion field where everything's different. Attraction and communicating with women doesn't work the way. And, Neil's a pretty, candid guy with his writing. And I think he later told me that he realized that you guys had hypnotic powers over him and he just didn't even want to go there. He didn't want to mess with the risk of it at all.
All right, there's going to be some things that we're going to ask you to do. If you're holding pads or pencils, set all the stuff down, put both feet flat on the floor. Find yourself in a nice, relaxed environment.
And remember, you don't have to do anything. You're going to continue to do. Because you made that decision back then in that certain time.
To get here or
Now.
go there.
Things that are going on.
And someplace in between it all. You might find a touch of perception.
And you can feel about your mind.
Some of these doors.
And it's nice to hear.
Are tall or short.
To be here.
Bodies of water. sometimes on the surface calm, while currents may move fast or slow.
And beyond
Below
the
the
crashing
surface.
waves,
Sometimes things might swell up or just settle down. The wave recedes back out. Now, as you look with your eyelids closed, roll your eyes up to look out through the forehead. And the indigenous people say this is how you see Grandmother Moon. Now, if you've done this properly, that you shift it just a little bit. It's like
First
a guy
you
that practices
find
guitar over
the
and
property
over,
which you
and
want to
then he
develop.
gets his groove on. He adds his own style.
next you begin to mark off those areas that you want to explore. And it's as the
Grandfather.
foundation begins to settle.
And further in to where it gets bigger,
And you begin to put up
to where you could
the
actually
first
go down to
bracket
the
in your
very
mind.
center of an atom. Now, to nourish our soul. And nourishment is always a question of purity.
You'll be able to digest it in your own way. And your body knows what's good for it, what it will keep, and your body knows what to do with what's full of shit. It's up to you. And wonder what thought that you've learned here today is going to make the most difference in your life.
And how
when
surprised are you going to be tomorrow
is it going to shift?
when you wake up to the new things that you've awakened in your mind?
Because tonight you're going to dream, perhaps, brave enough to come out
The
and
Donald
open your
Trump
eyes,
of
but
your
not
own
yet.
world, can't you?
Because as your mind filters through the information that you're going to learn here, and you're going to become that person you want to be here now, just take the time